call the meeting to order at 5:30. And apparently we have one small adjustment to the agenda. We're going to allow a representative from Triple T Trucking to speak to us in regards to Article E on the under old business, recycling FY18. Or I guess we can do the minutes first if you want to. I understand that you had a question.
Yeah, I think I would like to table the minutes for the
31st.
Yes, until we can talk about them.
Yeah, is that?
I'll say yeah.
So no, that's fine with me.
I'll move to accept the minutes of June 7th as presented.
All right.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes of June 7th as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. Guess you're up first, or Cynthia?
Well, I'll just briefly introduce what happened with the request for bids for recycling pickup. They were asked to be returned on June 19th. We received 2 envelopes. Casella did come down with an envelope, but they were a no bid. And Triple T was the only bidder on the recycling. So they're single stream. You just correct me. I'm reading. Okay. Single stream. $140 per haul for all recyclables. $40 a ton plus or minus market value. Materials are brought to Brattleboro Salvage. The 2% by volume weight for acceptable levels of contaminants, and then $100 a ton for offending material. The container fee is not included in this, although in the detail of the letter you talk about possibly a bigger container?
It would be a bigger
Yeah.
container, but I also alluded to other obstacles to making it an effective solution. So.
Yeah.
A bigger
Just
container.
a 30-yard box is, which holds 20 or a third more than the existing boxes, so that would cut down on your hauls.
Number of hauls.
But of course, it speaks to needing an attendant, or at least being a way of policing it and securing it. Having steps for folks to be able to get up conveniently to get to that size.
Because of the larger size.
Correct, yeah. So, and from what I understood, you were struggling on whether you're going to have a program or not, and so it just seemed like, let's maybe start something and then see how it evolves, and inefficiencies can be addressed at a later time, perhaps.
And are the containers that we could get from the waste district appropriate for single stream? It would be
Sure. Yeah, you could just repurpose them essentially, and they would be able to collect any recyclable versus the separate.
So it'd be the type that has the sliding doors on them, not the paper type.
Well, and the district's actually allowing you to use containers for at least the first year.
Right.
That they have. So I
Yeah.
mean, that was the thought, is that maintain that, perhaps relabel them for their new
Yeah.
acceptabilities, and then grow the program from there.
Right.
There was I think I probably asked the question to you of what, how is the contaminant, how is that measured?
The 2% by volume or weight is actually the restriction we have at the processing plant that we deliver the material to. It actually would go to our transfer station first, and it would and combined with other recyclables that we've already brought in from other places. To be honest, it's just kind of a number I put down, and that I just regurgitated one that I had. It would have to be pretty egregious for us to want to get involved in any. But the moral of the story would be okay, we have a problem. How are we going to solve it and move forward?
That number I gave you earlier on the phone was not right. The 17,000 that I was just doing the math. So in the detail, the letter's in there, but it says using Wyndham Solid Waste Management data in the 2 towns population. I created the 2 towns, meaning above there it's talking about Dummerston and Halifax, which is a comparison that he used.
Reasonably comparable.
he created a reasonable expectation for what Putney can deduce at a new, less prominent collection location. The number of annual hauls would go from 296 to 186. And remember, everything we're talking about is approximate, because we don't really, so it's 140 per,
Yeah,
yeah, that's 26,000. That's just the hauls.
and that's not including tonnage. And there's no allocated tonnage per haul, is that correct?
It is what it is, correct, yeah, it's what you get in the container.
Right, so
But,
you're weighing it in and weighing it out, yeah.
oh, yes, correct, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I was using for numbers earlier, because that's not what it is.
So it's,
Yeah, it's quite a
gonna
bit
be
higher.
closer to what we
30, it's
thought it
closer
was.
to what we,
Exactly.
what we budgeted.
Yeah,
So just using that, using those estimates, it's around 38,000. If we were to go down to if we were to use the 30 cubic yard, there's a potential of less hauls. So that drops it by about 8,500. So that's 30,000.
but when you say there would need to be supervision for that,
Yeah, I mean, it might not be the appropriate term, it's just an open container
They're not as
invites
easy to use.
other.
right. Oh,
Yeah, like
it's
toss
just,
it up over.
oh, it's just a straight up
Regular
30 yard.
Yes.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does invite issues. It's awfully easy to hook something in there, huh?
There is, just to mention something, there's some discussion of this, because, Peter's outfit isn't the only, local hauler that's looking into this, and some of them are advocating these in a big way, but it's just
Advocating just
the 30-yard
Yeah.
open tops, and recognizing that one of the problems is that they're open. But at the last district meeting, Tim Franklin brought this to our attention, these covers that are made for them. And I don't know, Peter knows about this stuff.
Sure.
You know,
I'm familiar
You know,
with
I don't think it's the only,
So you just close it up when you're not
yeah,
using it
and,
kind of thing.
this is well, at one level, it's an alternate to having an expensive car canopy over the whole
Right, yeah,
thing, which is another
yeah.
another way to go, and I think some places do that, but this one, concerns me. I mean, obviously, this
Keep it
isn't
open or
for
closed.
people's convenience,
Right.
but this one, I think you can open it,
A person could.
yeah, one person, and I am concerned about the increasing number of elderly we have in the town, many of whom are.
In this room.
They're diehard recyclers. These are the little old ladies that scrub and clean every can till there's nothing in it, and then. So there's that element too. The concern that I have with the 30-yard opens is that we've got to try to make this convenient for the users as well as convenient
Right.
for the haulers. So
Yeah.
that's the challenge here.
Do you have any sense, Peter, of how water weight affects tonnage on an open? I mean, it's got to be, in a year's time, it's got to be significant.
Sure, I mean, yeah. I just deal with it on a daily basis, so I could probably get desensitized to it.
Yeah.
But, just as much as wet stuff gets dried in the interim, but I don't have a number I could throw out to you.
And it doesn't matter to you. I mean, you're not asking, other than we're paying more for it.
Correct.
Is it a problem for you if our material comes in
No,
wet?
it's here again, because it would get combined with all the other material.
Right.
I mean, sure, yeah, in a perfect world, do we want it wet? No. But when we combine, the 20 yards or 30 yards that get brought in with 100 yards that we put in the trailer,
Right.
I think it just gets lost in the rounding kind of situation.
It's like anything allows, you know, you can kind of park them on a slight slope, you know. and at least
So at least it drains out,
you know,
right?
yeah.
But if it's, you know, 3/4 paper and
Sure.
you get
Oh,
4.5 inches of
absolutely.
rain, then
We've all dealt with
You know, there's
dumpster
something-
loads of stuff.
You certainly couldn't, get a tarp that's rubber that would shed as you fill.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there again, you start getting into the details where you start looking for the solution.
it's a lot of management to deal with that, unfortunately.
This looks also wear and tear on this prospect. You know, high wind, one day, snowy weather.
How are short people like me gonna put stuff in that?
It's a problem. I mean, we'd almost have to have sort of a loading dock type situation to be, as Dan, short or aged, you know.
I might be both.
Well, instead of the sticker to use it, there's a platform with a keyed entryway when you buy a key.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yes, I know. Well, I mean, it's
Great idea.
right, yeah. On the theory of, a sticker,
Yeah.
Now, the other question about this is, I mean, when your driver comes up to pick that up, can one person get one of those things on and off?
I don't have first-hand experience with those,
Doesn't look like it.
but from my recollection that I have seen when I've investigated it, is it usually required like something with forks
Yeah,
to take it on and
lock
off.
it off.
Um,
Right, look like that.
But-
All right.
I mean, I'm not sure we're
we're-
gonna be able to make it.
We're not are we
No,
choosing
I
to
just,
accept a bid, or?
no, I think that there's a lot more discussion that needs to happen. One of the things that I know is that the, location that we're talking about putting it, which is at the town garage,
Flooded the other day?
it didn't flood, but the road crew is not gonna have time
Right, between now.
and he told me the end of August.
Yeah,
So moving it over there at this point is not gonna be feasible unless we were to hire somebody to do that.
and that's gonna bump that.
And given the number that we have here, that doesn't leave us much to do anything over there.
And you don't, not that you don't care, but it doesn't probably matter to you much whether it's a fiscal year or whether, start date, finish date,
And I was
doesn't
just
really
gonna
matter.
say, no, I mean, we can start off on a handshake, like a short term,
Yeah.
what have you. I mean, we're not the king of contracts. So, I mean, we're glad to start a relationship, just however it seems to fit the town going forward.
Right,
So
so
if you
given-
wanna build a recycling facility.
Well,
first.
sure.
So given that information, there is the possibility of, for the month of July, we test it, see what happens.
Well, the problem is we
Given the
know
location-
what our volume is gonna be there.
I know.
So,
Either that or there's a break in service, but until we can get set up at the town garage, or the decision is that they go away June 30th. Those are our options.
I mean, you can certainly post it, I'm stepping out of my
No,
box
that's
here,
right.
but, a sandwich board saying, this is for Putney residents at this time, sorry for the inconvenience.
yeah,
I mean, honestly.
might cut it down a little bit, yeah.
Sure. I mean, and I know that Rockingham has made some accommodations for people to use their transfer station going forward that aren't from Rockingham. I'm not sure their access stickers, or I think they're working that out. But
Just my opinion, I think that stopping service would be unwise. It would be just awkward and confusing, and I think, if we have to keep it there for July with a signboard, as Peter's suggesting, I think that's the way to go.
We are looking at the top end of what we thought it might end up costing though, and I'm not at all complaining about the price, it's the reality that we've been discussing for a long time.
In one regard, it's good that people see that recycling costs
What
money.
it costs, yeah.
Yeah.
But in the other regard, it's unfortunate that it's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you don't see any likely shift in that in the foreseeable future,
Well, in regards to the
cost per ton.
we've just come through actually a pretty lucrative period where there was a value of $7 of all the commodities combined, and we've been in the $5 to $10 range for the last few months pay side of the equation. I think that, you know, it's a commodity, so speculation for sure is alive and well here. But I think we've kind of found an ebb of where we are and going forward, and that I don't see any big swings, you know, between the windows that have been shown recently.
Well, and from what you just said, that's only roughly a $10 per yard or $10 per ton
Swing.
difference. So even sort of best case scenario, we're still looking at a
$1,000.
$35 per ton fee.
Correct.
So,
In best case scenario, yeah, correct. Yeah, no, I just threw in anecdotally 25. I hadn't seen anything above that. You know, it's kind of to create your worst case scenario, perhaps.
I mean, the other part, just as a reminder, don't forget we're having a fire department meeting tomorrow night. We're
Yes.
gonna be talking about some dollars.
changes in that.
So, I mean, I think it's good that we hear that this could maybe be just even a trial
Right.
basis and see what happens, so that there isn't a break in service like Dan's suggesting and leave. I mean,
Yeah,
I think that
I'm-
when we leave them down there July 1st, but I don't know what else we can do if we don't wanna have a break in service. We
Well,
don't have
that's
other
what I'm
choice of
wondering is
location.
whether it's not, I mean, you know, Scott has said on several occasions, you know, maybe they just go away. And, you know, I mean, I agree with
It's
you,
not a
Dan, but I
happy
also,
solution, but-
you know, but maybe we see what happens with that. And you know, I'm not sure that's a wise choice.
Well, you're saying that would be an experiment. to
Exactly.
see how
If we went
folks-
from now till September 1st with no boxes and, you know,
It seems to be.
we get a zillion people complaining, that's one thing. If we get very few people complaining, then
I can certainly say as a contractor, when we-
people are gonna complain.
Well, no. I'm just, I'm, you know, being selfish, but we're required, or we offer recycling services as a private contractor to the town here, and so I can see our phone ringing off the hook to create these routes, to create this infrastructure for all these customers, and all of a sudden,
Oh, I see
in
what you're
in
saying.
like 2 months, like,
Everybody cancels
oh,
it.
you know, it's
Yeah.
back on the tax base.
Yeah.
You know, I could
Yeah.
see a lot of, at least companies' heads getting turned upside down
Yeah,
over
no,
that
that's
type
good
of
point.
scenario.
Do you have a lot of customers in Putney right now
We have a pretty good bunch, yeah.
that you pick up their recycling and their,
We do.
yeah?
Do you don't happen, I don't know
I
whether
don't
it's
have
appropriate
specific
for me,
numbers.
you don't happen to have numbers on
I don't have
that.
specific numbers, but I mean, I know we're in town. Gosh,
To the school.
sure, yeah, we've been at the school for a number of years.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I'm just wondering whether,
you know, we're
you
shooting
know,
here today 50.
Yeah.
50 houses.
I'm just wondering, you know, what percentage between you and, I mean, Franklin's up
Right,
here
sure, yeah.
semi-regularly,
Good enough.
Good enough's here semi, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I
what
suspect
percentage
they
are
have more
doing
than
that?
us, to be honest.
That they have more?
More, yeah.
Franklin, I would guess,
Yeah.
does. They've been doing
Reed, I
that.
see Reed also.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I just don't know whether that's 10% of residents or
Yeah.
nowhere close to
So
that.
if we were to repurpose use the containers from the Wyndham Solid Waste, so they're gonna be coming in and taking them out at the end of next week. They will unload them, do what they do, and then the containers are either gonna, I don't think they'll bring them back here, but they'll be there for us. So would you be able to get them from there to bring them up
Yeah,
here?
sure. I mean, I've been speaking with folks from the district. I'm trying to create smoother transitions.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things to think about is, of course, the way the commodities are going to go in the box are different. So they're labeled for
Right.
one thing, but it's a different thing now.
Yeah,
So creating that transition creates some thought.
yeah.
But we can.
Yeah, if it's single stream, then do we need just one container?
And that's part of the pitch is that you have two on site, but one is
the one
not
you're
active.
using,
So
right.
you utilize the container, because right now you're on schedule,
Mm-hmm.
and I tried to glean out of the data, you know, over a course of a year, if you pull a container that's 3 yards not full,
Yeah.
every week, and you've got
That
4 or
starts
5
costing you
containers,
quite a bit.
all of a
Yeah.
sudden that adds up
So
to quite a
hauls,
few
right.
hauls a year.
Yeah,
So I looked at the weight data, tried to figure it out, and I just ended up staying away from it because I couldn't really point in any direction to
Yeah.
that. But your containers are on schedule, they went every Monday and Friday. So
All
were-
three of them.
were they full every time? I would highly speculate that that's not the case.
Yeah.
So if you have 2 there and you fill one to complete optimum, and then you open up the other one, I would say that you will see some reduction in hauls from that, yes.
And who opens that up? Someone, us, someone from our, right?
Or, I mean,
Well,
here
I mean,
it would be a
certainly-
sign
No, no,
type
it's-
situation, it doesn't have to be locked, but it is like, please fill,
container X, right,
Right.
yeah.
I think if we say please, they'll do it.
Well, I mean, the glasses.
Better than not.
It's a good
The
start.
glasses have to one over.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, I guess the other question is like how do we monitor it to know when we should call to get you here to come, you know? I
Right.
mean, we don't wanna call you when it's full. Well, I guess we
You
could
could.
because the other one's sitting there.
Exactly. And it actually buys you time.
That's probably the way to do it.
Yeah,
really, if we
yeah,
had to,
I guess I talked myself into that, but still, somebody has to do that.
Sure.
Sounds like
Yeah.
a job for our new.
He has a long list all of a sudden that's way over 10 hours a week for the town. Yeah.
Do we want to give ourselves some kind of time frame in which we'll, well, I mean,
It's gotta be pretty.
we're running right up against,
Yeah, we really are.
Do you want to wait to see what happens tomorrow night?
I think that would be appropriate, I mean, just given,
The financial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and by tomorrow night, we're having a meeting with our fire department and, well, a community meeting, and there's a discussion about, having to have some money to help, do some on-call pay kind of stuff. So there's gonna have to be a discussion of, do we have to give something up in order to get that, you know, so, or do we try to make it work within the budget that we have? But it's good to know that we have the ability not to have to sign a
we
complete year
certainly
contract or something that,
Yeah,
appreciate your presentation of some flexibility
Yeah.
and willingness to undertake things in the
There's just
short
so
term,
many unknowns.
experimental,
for
so
a
it's-
lot of people, so.
yeah.
no, but I think also it's important, your point about people signing up and then canceling, you know,
Oh, no,
that's well taken. I mean,
Thank you.
that is important for us to keep in mind because, you know, to me, that says more, let's keep them there and figure out, and if we're gonna cancel them as of September 1 or whenever, you know, give people notice, et cetera.
That
If
gives
we're
us
not,
more
then we're
time.
not, exactly, but I think you're right, we need to see what happens tomorrow and go from there.
We just need to come up with a strategy of, depending on what happens tomorrow, how then do I proceed with,
Right, well, we're warned for a meeting tomorrow, so we can discuss it a little bit more tomorrow at the end of the meeting, maybe,
Yeah.
so.
okay, and then I'll get in contact with
Sounds like
with you. It'd probably be Monday.
Good, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for putting me in that's great.
You'll miss all the exciting parts.
Well, I'm watching TV.
All right, shall we go back to the beginning of new business?
Is that all Dan was here
Dan,
for?
or,
or-
do you have-
Yeah, I think that's everything. I'm supposed to be in my meeting at 6 o'clock, but I just wanted to, our meeting tomorrow, I think what I had planned to talk to you about was predicated upon, I guess, a little more coming out of this meeting, and that is mostly to do with how we were gonna communicate the change.
Yeah.
You know, via posters around town, via mailings that the district is gonna pay for, notices in the Reformer and in the Commons, and.
I think that we can definitely do that tomorrow.
Okay, then we just talk about the means by which we're gonna communicate
Yeah.
what we're gonna do, and then we can figure out what's gonna be,
What's
what
gonna
the
be-
content is later.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yep,
all right.
Yep.
Good,
okay,
okay.
Thank you.
thanks, Dan.
Yep, we'll see you.
See you tomorrow.
All right. request for a sewer connection?
That is not on here, it's not here tonight, but I just
Okay.
wanna give you a heads up. Rod would like to, connect at the same time that, Mark Zeider does, so he's trying to piggyback that, he's trying to do it quickly, so he's contacted an engineer. We thought maybe we would have stuff for tonight, but we don't, so just know that that's on its way, and, so that is happening probably soon. Probably the next meeting we'll have information.
So, next up is the action on the zoning bylaw amendment that we had public hearing for last week. Any discussion?
Anything that came up at last night's meeting that would add or
The
detract?
DRB meeting?
The DRB
No.
meeting? There was no discussion on that?
No, Richard Fletcher's application, he tabled
He
it.
tabled it,
Yeah.
that's what I thought, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And no more from the Conservation Commission?
No,
different
no,
language?
not at all. I think that their position remains the same and the planning commission remains the same and
Yeah.
they just need a yes or no.
I will make a motion that we accept the zoning bylaw amendment as presented by the zoning board, by
By the
the
planning commission.
planning commission.
Yeah, I'll second it.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to accept the zoning, what's it specifically called?
It's the,
So the zoning amendment,
Zoning bylaw.
zoning bylaw amendment from the DRB,
planning
as
commission.
presented from the planning commission, as presented at last week's public meeting, public hearing.
I would just like to make the comment that we heard and understand the concerns of the Conservation Commission, but feel that the time frame between now, or my personal feeling is that the time frame between now and when it's gonna get revisited is short enough so that the
Right,
concerns
by the
related to that
State
are,
regulations,
you know,
state and federal regulations.
but I don't want it to come across as I'm moving that we do this.
That's not part of the motion, however, correct?
No.
Okay.
I thought-
You're just-
Right, no, I'm just commenting, the motion's been moved and seconded, right? So I'm just, I'm just commenting that we, you know, I think if it's a 9-month period, you know, if a year from now, we still don't have any sense from Wyndham Regional or otherwise that this is moving forward, then we rethink it, but,
I think we've made a fairly compelling case for.
that we're
that, you know,
fairly
these
safe for this
regulations are all
time
moving
period.
in the same direction.
Exactly, yeah, no, I would agree, and,
Those wheels turn slowly, as we know.
yeah. So I just wanted to be clear to the Conservation Commission people that we have heard and considered their argument and we respect it. It just, we think that there will be conditions added to this whole thing in roughly the next year that will alleviate most of that. So that would be my feeling.
Okay, are we ready to vote? Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No?
No, I just didn't hear Steve.
Oh,
But Laura's sitting next to him, so she.
All right. Water and sewer billing, what do we?
I just wanted to let you know what was going on. So the carriage house behind us and the tavern, it had come to our attention that the meter readings and what we were billing seemed way too high for the use of those two buildings. We narrowed it down to the carriage house. There's a letter in here that I have given them related to it that you guys can read. Basically what was happening is the meter, since we have been billing a meter rate, which is back in 2011, we were told that it reads in 1,000 units, so the units are 1,000. Meaning if the reading is 20, then that's 20,000 gallons that have been passed through. We have since learned, I called EJ Prescott, who provides our products and services related to water and sewer, and he came out on Monday and to ask him to verify that unit, and it has been wrong since 2011. It's reading in hundreds. So we have been over billing that property for the last 6 years on both water and sewer, which equates to a lot of money. The other factor that I looked at was the number of ERUs, which is the equivalent residential units for the account. So one ERU is 250 gallons. And we get that number of how many ERUs should be assigned to a property based on what they need for the use of the property and what their state wastewater and water permits say. We were not charging the right amount of ERU, so I adjusted that. So some of it went up and some of it went down. I created a spreadsheet that showed the old bill and the new bill. And since then, I have asked Simon's Operation and EJ Prescott to go out and verify all of our meters that we're showing a reading in 1,000. Some of them have already been verified. The ones at Landmark had already been verified. Which there's not a lot of them that are set up that way, but they're gonna go out and re-verify those. We are having EJ Prescott help us set up a low-high alert. So when we read, it will alert us if it seems unusual. Unfortunately, that would not have caught this because the meter
Was
in
thinking.
Was-
It was in the-
yeah, so that high alert goes based off of averages over like the past 2 cycles. So it wouldn't have, in doing the analysis of it, I can see why we didn't stick out like a red flag like you might think it would, because sometimes it was only, some of the quarters it was like 201, so that was 201,000 gallons, and you divide that by 90 days, and it just didn't seem. Recently, it seemed way high, 400 and something thousand gallons. So what I've realized in doing that analysis, though, is now that we've changed it to hundreds, it seems like the usage is really low. So what I'm learning, because I don't know a lot about the pieces of pipe and all of that, is that it's a 2-inch pipe, and we might not be capturing everything like a flush. It might not be enough water that goes through that big pipe to trigger it to read that small amount of water that goes through. So we're talking about even changing the meter, reducing that. That's something that will come later, but so when I changed some of them to hundreds, their daily usage for an 11-unit apartment was like 100 gallons per day, which is not. No, so. Some of them were high, and so it's kind of, so we're gonna have to keep our eye on this account. We clearly have overbilled. So the amount ended up being, so I had to split it between both water and sewer. So we overbilled the sewer by about $28,000. Remember, this is 6 years. The water we overbilled around 19,000. So I have worked with, it's Peter and Deb Shumlin's property. I've worked with Peter, and I asked him if it would be appropriate and okay with him if we paid him half of it in July. And remember, this is in the water and sewer fund, so thankfully they are not rich in the water and sewer fund, but we're not
dipping into
we're not, and because the fluctuation in the amount that we will be billing on a quarterly basis is not going to be enough to have to change rates to make this up. So we're going to pay back 3/4 of it now, half of it in July, another quarter in September, and then the rest will be put on as a credit. We talked about half pay back in half credit, it would take years for them to eat up that credit. And so he's looking at his numbers compared to mine. He said we weren't that far off, a couple $1,000s, because he's been doing the same work that I have to make sure that we match. And, you know, unfortunately, it's a mistake that happened. There is going to be a letter that goes out to EJ Prescott to ask them. I believe they were the ones that.
And do we have any documentation that we
Yeah, we
were
have.
informed that it was set
Yeah,
up in
we do.
thousands?
But not specifically who it was from. So like in each of our folders, we have like the meter number or
So
something.
whether it was EJ Prescott or an engineer or.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from. So, I mean, and it had it has the number, it has the account number, and then it has reads in thousands, and there's a little check mark next to it, and that was used as we input the data into the system. So, it's not the best news, but
Not much we can do about it.
no, we just have to make it right. You know, the other part of it is I know that when something like this happens, it makes everybody wonder, you know, is
Is mine
there,
right?
so if anybody has questions on their bills, let's look at it. Some of them are really easy to know if you're a single family dwelling and you're, you know, that's pretty
And you
easy to
get some
calculate. We know that we have it set up right. Yeah, that's why I'm having them at least check those first.
The bigger meters.
Yeah. So all we can do is make it right and try to put some safeguards in place that it doesn't happen again. And hopefully we'll come up with a system of when Joe's out there reading that something will either beep or we have, you know, something,
Just
a double check.
Yeah.
So, how'd you like that news?
it's just a cheerful evening, isn't it?
So that's that.
Well, we get to talk about our favorite topic, taxes.
Yeah. So I was actually going to ask you guys tonight to come up with, or just make a motion to assign the task of who is going to create the property tax bills, print them and all of that, just so we have it established, and you can still do that if you want, I'm not sure, but, so the statute says that the select board shall seasonably make out and deliver to the proper collector. So it's the select board's responsibility by statute to we all know that, I don't know a select board member that's ever created a tax bill in my time, but I'm sure there was at one time.
I don't think that's a good
Yeah.
plan.
So,
We could make a good one out of that.
so I initially thought maybe it would be a good idea to do it tonight. I'm not so sure that's a good idea. There's, you know, things a little bit up in the air, but just so you guys know, the process for property tax bills this year, we've ordered the tax bill forms. I have talked to NIMRIC. They have given me a refresher of the steps that we need to do. I've talked to the listers of when we need the final 411 to know what the grand list values are. Jordy's they're working on that. Gave them some checks to do, some check and balances to do. And we're just gonna work together to get them done and get them in the mail. And that's been the plan all along. We knew Anita was retiring, so that's been the plan all along, is just for all of us to kind of work on this first cycle of them and kind of get in our groove of who. My sense would be the best thing to do would be to assign it to the bookkeeper. That's somebody that, I mean, I would assign it to Laura, but I think she's got enough assigned to her.
No, I mean, the question, I guess the only question, I was reading some of this on that,
Yeah,
some communication, I can't remember exactly what, but we clearly have the ability to assign it to somebody.
Yeah.
It's whether it would make sense to, you know, assign it to the assistant manager or to the bookkeeper under the guidance of the assistant manager or something like
Yeah.
that, so that it's got the proper,
Yeah.
especially given that we have a brand new bookkeeper,
yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
just to sort of disperse that responsibility a little bit
Yeah.
might make sense, but
or at this point right now,
just wait on it.
just wait, but know that the tax bills are being
Yeah,
managed, we're taking care of it, and
Yeah.
we will.
And that's second week of August.
Yeah, so the tax rate has to be set, we have to send them out by what, July 17th or something like that.
and our grand list is in good order.
I haven't, yeah, I assume so, but I haven't seen it yet. I mean, I know they're checking
There's a couple
everything, yeah,
grievances.
yeah. I heard him say today that they were gonna file it,
So,
I think next week, which is when I needed it, so. So probably at the July 5th meeting is when you guys will be able to set the tax rate. And then we'll start working on it.
All right, thank you. That concludes new business. All right, then we discussed the recycling under old business, highlighted old business, Putney Fire Department internal operations. Do we?
Just a reminder that the public meeting
Yeah,
is tomorrow night at 7?
at 7.
7.
and do we have sort of a plan for that?
I honestly think we do have a number of copies of the fire department's internal report, right? I think we're just gonna call it to order. Give everyone a chance to take a look at that report.
Those have been
even if,
available to people.
a 15-minute, sort of take a minute and just scoot through this and, peruse it and get a sense. I mean, hopefully a lot of people have, but the reality is, there's gonna be saying, where is this? Where can I hold on to it?
Do you,
Yeah, and I'll make
do
copies
you,
of it.
and do you have any, have people been,
I haven't heard a word from anybody.
so we have no
I-
idea whether we'll have 4 people there or?
I do know that my Facebook post, it was shared a lot, and then it was reached like 2,000 people, but that's shared all over the place. Yeah, I mean, a lot of fire departments shared it, like different fire departments have Facebook pages. So like I said, it was shared everywhere.
Hard to say
But
what that means.
yeah, so a lot of people.
And then I would basically invite Tom to speak to it, and then at that point, all of us entertain, questions within, for you, there's probably more questions. For us, it's really gonna be, how does this get paid for? And, but we don't really have an answer for that, other than, if that is the choice, of course, that we take, we will have to find the funds somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll make copies and have those there.
There's none.
Yep.
Make the usual request that people speak once and, allow other people to speak.
You bring a gavel.
And, no, I can yell loud enough.
Okay.
Or
No interruptions.
fire hose.
You. Just an Indian tank.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
little squirt gun. All right. Do you have anything you want to add to that? Is there? Okay. Ben, you're ready. You're ready for this? Good. All right. So the water sewer truck.
I just
Okay.
wanted to let you guys know that Simon's agreed to $400 a month.
Oh,
So I told them to go ahead and just start billing us for that. What we got for money from insurance will cover that extra 400
for this year.
for this year.
Yeah,
So, and then,
coming up on town.
Coming
meeting,
up.
we can-
yeah, we're gonna be renegotiating that contract we have it for 1 more year, so it'll have to be renegotiated anyway,
With
so,
signs.
yeah.
Yeah.
So at that time, I just told Phyllis is Mark Simon's wife, told her to make sure she talks about a truck, because we would like to continue with that and just have them supply the truck to him.
Sounds,
So,
Seems to make sense if
yeah, that sounds like a reasonable.
it's viable cost. Yeah.
yeah.
Presumably, we're putting fuel in that.
We didn't quite nail that down, but yeah, I'm just assuming
I mean,
so,
it's
because
not a
he's
huge
not gonna.
amount of fuel. I mean,
No, we do that now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we were on our way to Ithaca last weekend, and I went by the Fleet
Oh,
outlet
in Troy?
spot in Troy.
Well, Troy,
right,
in Troy,
yes.
what, not
They had a
really.
very full parking lot. There were all kinds of
I know.
interesting. Then they slow down. I said, slow down. I want to just take a look.
I looked online,
Linda's like, stop.
I looked online there and I found a purple truck.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah, there was a patch of,
Yeah,
I was wondering what municipality had,
purple trucks.
you could find those in the dark. All right. Town managers report.
Okay, so I have a couple of things. I just wanted to let you know that I talked to the game warden, about the rabid animal situation, and he's fine with somebody, if I was to call somebody and ask them if they were available to go dispose of an animal. He said he would rather have that happen. He doesn't want people just going to do it randomly, but this is
Right.
town, that because 9 times out of 10 they get there and the animal's
It's gone
gone.
anyway.
Yeah, so,
And did he comment at all on sort of how much of this is going, I mean, and
no,
didn't come up?
not really, no.
Because it sounds like, I mean, I heard about several of them in
Yeah,
surrounding areas. I haven't heard about any more right here.
I haven't heard about any more right here, and he didn't allude to that. I mean, he told me he gets calls, but, so, the other thing I wanted to just update you on is there was a question about that, chloride application. Remember we signed and did that grant, the municipal roads general permit does not require changes to chloride application.
Okay.
So that's,
So
That's
did
fine.
we have to,
no, I signed that,
you did?
yeah, cause they
Okay.
needed it, yeah,
No, I remember that. We granted you the,
yeah.
Sign it.
Signature.
yeah.
Authority.
And then in your packet is a year-end report. I didn't have a chance to even look at it, I just printed it for you.
Seems about right to you.
Sure. I didn't look at it.
Actually, we're pretty darn close to year end, so.
Yeah, we have a week left. We're already putting bills for next fiscal year. Okay. I would like to read this letter, if you guys don't mind.
Yep, that's fine, please.
So this is to you guys, it's not a surprise to any of you, but, so after much thought and consideration, I've decided not to renew my contract with the town of Putney as the municipal manager and the finance director. It's been a pleasure to work with all of you for a total of 11 years, starting as finance director and for the past 5 years of town manager, finance director. It was not an easy decision and there were several factors that led to it. I leave with sadness in my heart because I've grown so fond of this community and of you and the dedicated staff that work so hard to offer the highest level of service possible. I also leave with a renewed sense of purpose and excitement for the next part of my life. In the years that we've all gotten to know each other, I think you're all aware of the love that I have for the Vermont local government, and I've dedicated my life to working in local government in one way or another. Being a treasurer for the town of Westminster, working for NIMRIC for several years, my time here, and also being an active member of my own community in Westminster. Now that my kids are grown and creating their own lives, it's made me reflect on what I want to do for the rest of my career. I know that I want to continue this type of work. It became really clear to me that the place I might be able to do that again is NIMRIC. Their mission is driven by their love for Vermont local government, and I feel that being able to offer my experience to many Vermont communities again is where I need to be. I reached out to Ernie to see if there was a place for me at NIMRIC, and he's offered, and I've accepted a position with them. Both Ernie and I recognize that a search and a transition to a new town manager can be both a stressful and long process. We both agreed that we will do everything we can to help with that transition, understanding that you should know what's best for Putney. You should do what's best for Putney, and it's your decision on how to proceed. We do have some thoughts on how a transition can be accomplished with little interruption and can be discussed in further detail. My last day will be August 4th, 2017. This will give the town time to get through the Phase 2 sidewalk construction, FY17 audit, help to train the new bookkeeper, and tie up other loose ends. I will certainly be available after for questions and help when needed. In closing, I really want to emphasize that I could never have done this job without the support and guidance of the Select Board. Most importantly, I need to recognize Laura Barkham, my assistant, Brian Harlow, the road foreman, and Tom Goddard, the fire chief. No matter what the circumstances, they are unwavering in their dedication and support to this town, to their coworkers, and to me. It's been a pleasure to be partners with them in getting the important work done on a daily basis. I also want to thank the Putney community for welcoming me with open arms. I'm blessed to have known you and blessed to have gained many friends. Thankfully, we're neighbors and I will still be seeing everyone. Thank you for the amazing opportunity to serve your community. Whew, I didn't think I'd get through that.
I am deeply regretful that you're leaving us, Cynthia, and I understand entirely. I wish you would stay, but I understand. And all I can simply say is you will be greatly missed. I don't think we can thank you enough. You've set this town on a sound footing that was somewhat lacking for a considerable length of time.
I tried.
Your, you know, your toughness, your professionalism will be hard to replace.
Yeah.
I absolutely concur with that.
But as you said, you know, you can also wake up, you know, August 4th and will be a new day.
Well, I certainly will miss it, and I certainly will miss the people that are here, and I just have to do what's best for me and my family right now.
I understand.
Hey, maybe I'll be back as working for New
August 5th. Yeah, no, I second everything Scott said, and just wish we had been able to get to this point in a sort of more congenial, happier state, and I think it's unfortunate that that we didn't, and that very clearly is not as a result of any animus or disagreement or anything between the select board and you, and that we have tried to be as supportive as we realistically could be, and also known that you have been the same for us. So too bad, but we understand, and certainly don't fault you for that. I agree with Scott. I wish you'd stay, but I don't see that being a realistic option at this point.
Yeah, I don't think at this point
Yeah.
that there's
So,
a way to do that without.
yeah.
I have to stay in local government, and because that's what I want to do, and I'm not sure that this opportunity will be there for me in 6 months if things don't turn around a little bit here.
Yeah,
And I don't
Yeah.
know that I'm willing to
take that chance.
take that chance,
Yeah.
you know.
You know, I don't think anybody could fault you for that at this stage.
I don't know, maybe Tom.
Well, some might fault you for it, but I don't think they'd be coming from the right place, but.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I haven't known you nearly as long as everyone here, but you've set an awfully high bar. I mean, I've really appreciated it to see how all this works since you've been here, and your forthrightness with everything. It just makes it. I've always felt very accepted, and things were very clear to me. And I think it's an amazing talent you have for that. I'd like to see you.
So we'll send you to Montpelier and maybe you can straighten this mess out. By God.
Might be my next stop someday.
Good.
No doubt.
Something's gonna change.
All right, well, we have some warrants. Steve, did you already, did you see these guys? I don't remember.
Okay.
Definitely didn't. Steve and I already signed on these. And other than that, we're going to have an executive session regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation of public officer or employee provided. That's the rest of it is.
I would make a motion.
Well,
Well,
we're not going to take
finish
any
this.
action. I don't see us, any action coming out of this executive session this
don't.
evening.
I don't think so, not this
All
evening.
right.
No, probably not.
And if there,
Um,
so we can release that. I'm gonna invite Cynthia and do you wish Laura
Would you like
to
to
be
be a part of it?
part of this conversation?
Or
And,
do you,
and
Or if
we're
you-
talking for a little while.
Yeah.
it's up to you guys. I don't know.
So it's up to you. It's up to you.
We'd happily invite you
We
to
would
stay.
happily invite
And-
you.
And if you,
But
if
if you've
you,
got, if you want to roll, I can understand as well.
I can stay for a little while.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session at 6:25, 6:26. And there will be no actions following, so we will shut the cameras off at this time. Thank you.